All right, so get this. You know how we kind of just assume renting stuff is easy? Like you walk in, you flash your ID, you leave with a slightly used power tool and this vague sense of guilt for not, owning one yourself.
You're not wrong. It seems deceptively simple from the outside.
Yeah, exactly. But turns out there's this whole hidden world behind that "we rent" sign. So buckle up, because in this deep dive, we are tackling the role of a rental service representative. We've got intel straight from RoleCatcher. It's like a career guide meets job seeker toolkit.
It's a fascinating resource. They break down industries and roles you wouldn't believe.
And they've even got this AI resume builder, which we'll get into later. But first, let's talk about those rental walks. The guide makes it clear this is way more than just like handing over keys.
Oh, absolutely. It's a total balancing act. You're not just a product expert, although you need to know bulldozers from bouncy castles, apparently.
Seriously, I did not realize the sheer variety of stuff people rent. The guide doesn't even say which is more stressful to handle.
Maybe we'll find out. But on top of that knowledge, you need top-notch customer service, a deep dive into contracts and insurance, and even the ability to kind of predict what industries are going to need what and when.
Okay, so you're telling me they need to be part salesperson, part legal eagle, part like industry soothsayer.
Basically, yeah. And while direct customer interaction is listed as a pro, the guide doesn't shy away from potentially dealing with difficult customers, especially during those crazy rental rush times.
Oh, 100%. Like, I consider myself a pretty chill person, but even I've been that stressed out tourist at like the car rental counter. Can you imagine dealing with that all day, every day?
Exactly. It takes a special kind of person. This isn't a job for the faint of heart. You've got to be adaptable, a master problem solver, and unflappable under pressure, all while explaining how to use a chainsaw safely, no less.
Okay, yeah, that chipped coffee mug I returned last month. Suddenly feeling a lot less guilty about it. So clearly there's a lot more to this job than meets the eye. And what's fascinating is how that translates into the actual career path. So we've like established that being a rental service representative is way more demanding than it looks from the outside. But what really caught my eye was the career path laid out in this RoleCatcher guide. They go from entry level all the way up to senior, and the responsibilities, they change like dramatically.
Yeah, it's like a microcosm of the rental industry's growth spurt. This isn't just your dad renting a leaf blower for the afternoon anymore. The guide really emphasizes how central rentals have become to every industry.
Yeah. And I hadn't even thought about it that way.
Construction, agriculture, you name it. Instead of, owning this expensive equipment, more and more industries are renting based on their immediate needs. It's all about adapting to the specific project at hand, which makes the people managing those rentals even more vital. And as that demand grows, so too does the career path for someone starting out as just a rep.
Right. And the guide even mentions becoming a rental manager, like overseeing a whole location, maybe even a whole region. That's a huge leap from explaining how to use a floor sander.
Yeah. Exactly. But it just highlights the upward potential here. If you're organized, you're customer savvy, and maybe even enjoy the thrill of a fast-paced environment, there's room to climb.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the really interesting part about RoleCatcher itself.
Right. They're not just telling you about the job, they're actively trying to get you hired. That AI resume builder they've got is wild. It really shows how tech is revolutionizing the job market on both sides, both for the applicant and the employer.
Oh, I'm telling you, this kind of software it's becoming mission critical. Think about it. Tracking hundreds of pieces of equipment, managing payments, making sure the right tool gets to the right client at the right time. It's a lot. Automation is key in this industry now.
So those administrative skills and customer service skills the guide keeps hammering on, those are even more important when you've got software in the mix.
Absolutely. It's not enough to know how to use the tech. You have to actually understand the data it spits out. Are certain rentals spiking in a particular region? That tells you about economic trends, construction projects, maybe even what kind of summer people are having based on party supply rentals. This job is this weird mix of on-the-ground service and big picture thinking.
Okay, so we've got this surprisingly complex job, a career path that can take you from counter to corner office, A&D, this whole tech angle. But let's be real for a sec. Let's say, hypothetically, I'm perfectly happy at my current desk job. No offense to the rental service representatives of the world. You guys are the real heroes. But what's the takeaway for the rest of us from this deep dive? those of us who aren't renting or like renting adjacent.
I think that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not planning to like swap your laptop for a forklift anytime soon, there are always, these golden nuggets of wisdom that we can kind of like pull out and apply to our own careers and lives, right? And this one really drives home the importance of clear communication, which I know sounds obvious.
Oh, tell me about it. Sometimes I feel like half my job is just like explaining things in five different ways until it finally clicks.
Exactly, exactly. And it's more than just like speaking clearly too. The guide touches on like active listening, understanding different communication styles. It's all about kind of like adapting your approach depending on who's standing across from you at any given time, whether it's, a confused tourist or your boss.
Yeah, for sure. And let's not forget about like all those contracts and insurance policies that the guide kept like bringing up. And I'll admit, usually I just skim those and like hope for the best. But
Yeah, right. But even just having like a basic grasp of those legal essential, that just makes you a more informed consumer, a more
yeah.
confident employee. You're just generally better equipped to navigate the world,
Right.
right? You never know when that knowledge is going to come in handy.
You know what really stood out to me, especially compared to like our cushy desk setups, the guide mentioned the very real risk of, physical injury on the job, handling all that, heavy equipment.
Yeah,
It's something we don't really think about.
right. It's a powerful reminder, I think, that not all work environments are created equal,
Hmm.
and the need for clear safety protocols, thorough training, it really hits home the importance of those things.
Yeah.
Something that most of us probably take for granted when we're, picking up a chainsaw rental on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, totally. So to wrap this up, even if you've like never even considered a career in rentals before, I think this deep dive shows it's a vital industry, it's evolving constantly, it's shaped by tech and well, just the basic human need to like get things done.
Right, absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, it'll make you think twice about, complaining next time you're at that rental counter.
Right. Hey, they might be renting out more than just lawnmowers these days. Maybe they're renting out like peace of mind too, right?
There you go.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of rental service representatives. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, there's always more than meets the eye, even in a seemingly ordinary "we rent" sign.